Hey everybody, welcome back. We've got the Clover Events team here, Catherine, Jessica, and Billy. And today we're chatting with our friend Sean Denny with Luxe Events. He is certainly one of our go-tos for all AV and lighting needs. And they are encountering definitely some changes in the way that they're doing business as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic that we're all experiencing right now. So we thought it would be interesting to bring Sean in today to chat with him a little bit about the future of in-person versus virtual events and how we can still simulate events and gathering together right now when we aren't physically allowed to be together. So thanks for being here, Sean.
Of course, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Straight from New York.
That's right. That's the wonderful kind of silver lining for me in all this is that nothing's really changed. I'm virtual with everyone now. And everyone's virtual with me, so I don't feel like the oddball out now.
Right, that's true. Yeah, none of us are together for right now anyway. So yeah, so tell us a little bit about what you and your partners have been experiencing since the shelter-in-place orders happened and we've had all these event postponements.
Sure. So, I mean, as we all know, events have stopped happening in person for the most part. And we've seen a huge resurgence in things happening over video chat and video conference. As businesses start to come back and as meetings still need to be held and weddings still need to be had, we're working on ways to make it feel as normal as possible and still reach as many people as possible, and also do it in the most professional way possible. I think soon we're going to stop or we're going to soon get bored with seeing everyone's bedrooms. It's been kind of cool for a little while, but people are...
Sort of a novelty off the bat.
The novelty is slowly fading off, and I think especially for businesses and professionals, getting back to a professional looking environment for your meetings and for your presentations is starting to become a necessary thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously right now we know this is really the platform we're using. We're not gathering in groups, but as we start to move forward over the next few months and that number starts to get expanded and maybe we can gather in small groups here and there, what are you seeing in terms of virtual events and how that might change? So some sort of a hybrid in-person virtual event.
That's what I've really been looking forward to, and what I'm really hopeful for in the future of events is that we still have some level of a produced event. So if you're getting married, that's the group of people that would be standing up in the wedding. If it's a corporate presentation or a fundraiser, that's your host, that's your panel discussions, that we would still get to set up a full stage for you, that there would be a fully professional event happening. It's just that the audience is not there. The audience is virtual. And so it's a little bit more like a webinar, but with ways of keeping audience interaction happening during the event too.
Yeah, absolutely. And making it a little bit more interesting than just a webinar of previous years, you know, so bringing in some programmatic elements or some entertainment or something along those lines.
Absolutely, and keeping it engaging and switching and changing. Webinars in the past were very single camera right on the presenter for an hour and a half straight. That was a little rough to get through. We're seeing that now with all these Zoom conferences. It's single camera angle on us, and it gets a little tiresome over time. So trying to bring some of the TV and production elements to events with multi-cameras and different elements happening so that your screen is always changing. There's something engaging going on. You have chat feeds, you have question and answers, you have polls, all kind of happening so that the event is engaging and exciting to be a part of, because I think the novelty of all these conferences is starting to wear off a little bit on us too.
Yeah, definitely.
What are some ways that you can see for like weddings, for example, for us to still have receptions and still be engaging with our guests?
Absolutely. I think there's a couple ways that's the one we've been brainstorming on the most lately, is how to make a reception still a viable thing in the different levels that it's going to be at. I think right away, when we're still in very small groups of people gathering, I think we're going to see a very abridged reception where all the key elements can still take place. We can still have toasts, we can still have first dances, all kind of occurring, but instead of these happening over time and with dinner involved, it's a 45-minute to 1 hour long reception with those elements brought into it. And then possibly at the end of that, we can live stream in a DJ, or if there's a DJ live there, keeping that element going. But we know that, you know, watching 10 people dance in a room for 3 hours is probably not the most exciting thing going on there. The other thing we're hoping for is that in terms of receptions, what we kind of view as it kind of coming back to normal is when we can get kind of 30 to 50 people happening at a reception, and it turns into a little bit more of a webinar. We still kind of bundle everything at the beginning, but at that point, we're also hoping to have some interactive sections there where guests that are a part of the wedding will have a camera or two set up that they can hop in and chat with people that are watching virtually, and vice versa. So kind of at that point, it basically be like having a Zoom call at your wedding, but done in a much more professional way and a little bit nicer situation.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Yeah, yeah, and still allows people to gather, but include those who couldn't be there
Exactly.
in person with them.
Yeah, that's kind of the biggest element that we're seeing with a lot of these is we don't want the people watching to feel like outsiders, like you're watching a TV show. We want you to feel engaged. We want you to feel a part of it, and know that just because you can't be there doesn't mean you can't be a part of it. So working on ways that we can moderate, you know, comments coming in from people and things like that, so that we have a great way of kind of making them feel like a part of it.
Yeah. It's certainly a unique take on a wedding too. I mean, I think that would be really memorable for the couple and for their guests too. It, you know, becomes more of a different kind of a production, I suppose,
Yeah.
than it normally is.
Yeah, and I think, you know, the silver lining too is that because we're now streaming all of this, we have saved footage of the entirety of the event. So not quite as, you know, highly produced as a videographer would be able to do it. That's a totally separate thing. But at least you have, you know, a captured segment of your day now.
Well, and maybe you know, you could partner with the videographer and then you get some of both of those elements in a final film.
That would be our ultimate hope. I'd love to be able to take that footage and lend it to them to create something amazing with.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool.
What kind of platform are you guys going to be using for guests to watch? Like, are you going to have your own streaming type of service or use a third party?
Yeah, so our favorite, or what we've been using right now, is Vimeo, the Vimeo Live. You don't have to log in. You can just go straight to it. For us, it's really robust in that anybody can just, if you have the URL to it, you can just go on, start watching. It has a chat function, has all those other functions that we can utilize when people are watching. The other thing we do really love about it is for corporate events, we can actually password protect and make all of those hidden. So, and even for certain weddings, if you only want a certain amount of people to join, we can do that. We can also force email login, so you can't just like randomly have the URL and pop in. You actually have to sign in to be a part of it. So there's a little bit more safety level involved with that. And then if, depending on the event, if they want it multi-streamed, if they want it to go to Facebook and YouTube and Twitch and all of those, we can do that as well. That's always possible. But with those, I mean, there's people have just been complaining so much, especially with Facebook. It's been having lots of issues in its transmission. The quality is very poor, at least with the Vimeo one. We have high quality HD video feed, so it looks clean and clear the whole time.
It's more reliable for the whole time. Yeah, yeah, that's great. What sort of I guess future impacts or lasting impacts do you see in your world because of this pandemic?
I mean, I think that this idea of a live streamed event is never going to go away. I think, which is good. To me, it's a great thing. This is something we had been talking about for about a year and a half, about live streaming events as an option to add for weddings. It was grandparents or people that were unable to travel for whatever reason. For corporate events, obviously, again, for people that were overseas or couldn't travel in, or for whatever reason, we're double booked that day and still wanted to be a part of the presentations. We had already talked about implementing that. This just kind of fast forwarded from being on the medium back burner of what we were thinking about to the very front end. So it was already something that had been done on events in the past, but we're now seeing it full force. And because of that, I think it will continue on for events well into the future.
And maybe seeing it more, we definitely saw it in the corporate world, but seeing it more on the social side as being more commonplace too for those events. I think that's a big change.
Absolutely. And I'm really excited too that now that the entire industry is forced into this, really excited to see the production level just skyrocket on these. When last year and years past, the production value was relatively low. It was a feat of what was happening at the event. I think we're seeing a lot of collaborations with videographers, and we're going to see a lot better produced events moving forward, which is really exciting as well.
I was just going to say that I think it's really exciting. I think it's going to change the way events are produced in a good way.
In a great way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, this has been really enlightening. I think we all learned something today. We're very, transparent about the fact that this is definitely something we're learning about too because of this. So thank you for being an expert and having some great information to share today.
Of course. Thanks so much for having me.
It was good to see you.
It was great to see you guys as well.
Bye.
Bye.
Talk soon.